All right, welcome, guys. This is going to be another episode of Talkshop with Rude. I'm your host, Steven Arboleda, and here I have two special guests. One is going to be the one and only Chris Adams from the RVA Returners podcast.
Howdy.
With the finger guns over there. And then the one and only JFB, also known as, I can't pronounce it, so can you say it for me?
Yehosera.
Yehosera? Okay, awesome. So we're doing these interviews here. Pretty much, I like the crowd already knows. I do these pretty much kind of to get to know players in the community, and we start off by knowing who they are, kind of what their role is in their community, and let's start from there, and then we'll kind of go down the list of what I usually do. Where are you from?
I am from London, England.
Okay, awesome. And how long have you been playing Final Fantasy?
Since it came out
Mm-hmm.
in October, I'm tempted to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like on release day,
Mhm.
got some starter decks. Kind of took it from there.
What made you, like, how'd you find out about a game, or what made you want to play it?
There was a video of the game being demoed at one of the Comic Cons,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked kind of interesting. And the Yu-Gi-Oh format was kind of crap. They banned all the cards I like to play, so I was done with that.
Okay,
And
well,
a lot of times it's a new Final Fantasy game. Jump ship.
well, that's awesome. We're definitely glad to have you in. You know, your Final Fantasy report card kind of is pretty impressive, to say the least. Now, how look at that guy. Now, one thing that I did want to touch base on here with you. How's your community over there? I mean, how many guys are you strong over there in London?
Mm, it varies a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It varies from about 25 people down to about 12 people.
Okay.
Which,
That's good. Still good.
yeah, it's good because there are some new faces, but it's weird. The new faces don't trickle in; they kind of come in waves. Like 5 new people
Now,
at a time.
now, do you kind of keep the new guys around, or do you feel like people are constantly coming in and out? And if they're staying, what are you doing to keep them there?
They'll stay for a couple months before they start to fade out.
Okay.
It's a very well, as with all FF communities, it seems everyone's really friendly. So the newcomers do have incentive to come back just for the social aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stuff like having a box filled with commons and rares for them to build decks at the start of the when they just are starting.
Yeah, we do this. We definitely do the same thing. I mean, I don't know, Chris is maybe adopting that pre-roll soon if they haven't already, but as far as our community, we definitely wind up doing like new player boxes. When someone buys a structure deck or gets a couple booster packs, we just go ahead and, hey, here's all the bulk that we do not use. Here, take some, build something,
Exactly.
and kind of go from
So
there.
so much bulk just sitting around my room.
Same, like
I got a lot of bulk.
I got stuff back there that I'm organizing earlier today, so it's, yeah, you're not the only one. Now, one thing that I did want to talk about, your most recent victory. What were you playing, and what was the event that you were at?
My most recent victory. My most recent first place finish, or just?
I mean, yeah, first place finish.
That would have been Winter Cup Paris.
Okay. Sick.
Finish.
How did that go?
And that went rather well. I was playing Fire Ice.
Now you're talking.
See,
Now you're talking.
Exactly.
that's the reason why I brought this up, and that's the reason why this man is here. So you're kind of like an inspiration for good old reliable, as what he likes to call it. Feel free to take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was like the deck that my first like top cut tournament that I was at for. It was Opus 5. I took the kind of like an amalgamation of the two lists that you had, but I was like, well, I'm gonna throw Birdman Joe in here. I'm gonna throw a Light Vaughn in here, and the 1 CP Mateus, and I'm just gonna take this to this tournament ended up going top 4. So
Nice.
yeah, the deck performed very, very well.
And
You say you threw Birdman in? Is that a Mecha Chocobo?
No, but we call Vermilion Bird Zoyu. We call him Birdman.
Oh, I see.
That dude was just such an ungodly beater in the deck. He would just close out. I think every game I dropped him, I won within like a couple turns. That guy was insane.
It's like the of Opus 5. He's like the modern Opus 6 Athenian, pretty much. You drop him after you got 4 or 5 points of damage, and you're kind of closing that game up.
Pretty much.
It's true.
But see, the thing is, I'm not all that great with building decks. Although I'll pilot the heck out of something you give me, and I could probably do pretty well with it once I kind of learn things together. But the reason why I'm doing these interviews is pretty much getting people who have shown results, brewing their own ideas, and putting decks on there, putting decks on the map, and kind of getting your insight on where you start. What do you do when you're building a deck, and afterwards, how do you prep to make sure that it's good or it's what you want it to do?
Well, I recently just started, just about finished up writing a massive thing about how I build my decks. But essentially, 17 backups, 10 summons / monsters, 23 forwards. That's what I try to stick to. I always start with the backups. I find they're just kind of easy to start with. As long as you have a vague idea of the forwards you want in your deck, you know what kind of searches you'll need, you know what the good 2 CP backups are, and the backups kind of build themselves. Summons, I've got a sort of, just say, a rough guideline, well, a bit more than a guideline. A sort of chart of each summon and how many I want to be playing at the minimum from each color. So for example, if I'm playing a wind deck, I'm just always going to slap down 3 Diabolos onto the table when I'm building a deck.
No matter what.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah, I'm playing wind, 3 Diabolos.
Exactly, I'm playing wind, I'm going to play 3 Diabolos, you know? There are some examples. it just happens.
Yeah.
And then the forwards are the harder part. It's all finding out what the kind of core forwards to your strategy is. So for example, what's a wind deck? I know I'm always going to have on the table some number of Zidane, Pain, Barbarissia, Tolla, like the kind of Cloud of Darkness, those kind of cards. And then it's kind of filtering down and working out which ones you want at 3, 2, and which ones protect cards. But if you stick to 23 forwards, 10 summons / monsters, and 17 backups, it's generally fine.
Okay.
Now, so you're saying the deck kind of builds itself from that point if you stick to those ratios?
Yeah, stick to those ratios and have a good idea of what the better cards for each color is.
And when you said you do the backups first, when you look at like 2 CP backups or turn 1, turn 2 plays, how many, like what's like the backup curve, I guess is kind of what I'm asking there.
Okay, curve is a bit weird. So recently, actually, the most recent Fire Ice deck I played has got a single 2-drop backup.
That's pretty ballsy. That's pretty ballsy.
Loose, I love it.
Exactly. But in general, I would say for decks, well, I'm gonna say for beginners, for people who just want to build the standard, just solid decks. I feel like you want to have about 8 2-drop backups in your deck. I think it's 7 or 8. It's around there. It's the number that I've pinned. I like 5 or 6 because I like really low counts for 2-drops. But in general, if you're gonna start somewhere with a deck and you're not too comfortable with deck building, 7/8 means you'll just have a healthy amount. You're very likely to open 2 2-drop backups and a 3-drop. So you're gonna be able to just play backups the first couple of turns and not have any of the issues where you're wondering what forwards you need to sacrifice.
Now, the rule that you said you kind of go with 17 backups, 23 forwards, and then 10 summons. Are you sacrificing summons if you need to add monsters, or what's your take on that? What do you sacrifice?
Yeah, I sacrifice the summons.
Okay.
There are some archetypes, like Wind Earth, for example, where you can't sacrifice summons for monsters because The summons I find are too important. Like I'm always going to play triple Hecaton Share, triple Diabolos. Like, that's just going in.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I'm playing Wind Earth, I have to play 3 Cactuars. It's not a debate.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like 9 slots are just gone. But I also want some of the cooler cards, like maybe 5 CP Titan, maybe Yehosera, maybe Chaos Walker of the Wheel. And those kind of spill over into the forwards in that specific deck. But generally speaking, I'm going to take out of the summons.
Okay.
Monsters.
So usually, I mean, I definitely agree with that archetype because you gotta have the Cactuars in there. Do you think Layak is still needed in that deck anymore, or do you want to take Layak out of there?
I only really like Layak with Urianga.
Yeah, makes sense.
Without Urianga, Layak's just kind of, you draw him sometimes he's really good, but a lot of the time it's just kind of awkward.
Okay.
You don't always want to activate all your cards from draw card, as weird as that sounds.
No.
Especially with cards like Zell running around, where if you overextend with a Layak, Zell's just going to punish you for
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Zell will, Rama will.
Mm-hmm.
She's not looking pretty for Layak.
Mm-hmm.
But with Urianga, he's really good.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, getting into the point, so we kind of got your intel on how you wind up prepping, I mean, how you start building your deck, but what's your process when you know you're kind of done with it? You're kind of done making the tweaks to it and you're ready to take it to a Winter Cup or whatever other event you're kind of going to, and you're always aiming to kill, you're always aiming to go first, so when do you know that you're confident enough that, alright, this build is definitely enough to get me there?
So normally what I do is I play with my friend Rob, and we do a thing where we take the deck that we want to take. So say, for example, we want to take, I don't know, Mono Lightning Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get a selection of other decks. One person plays Mono Lightning, the other person plays the selection, and you kind of keep on the same deck until it loses.
Mm-hmm.
And when a deck is... You kind of get a feel for when a deck is just sort of dominating the selection of decks that we're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Putting it up against. That's when it's right.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing to do after you do that is to disregard everything and build a completely new deck from scratch just before you leave for the venue.
so
audible.
It's just an audible, just a random audible.
I love it.
Exactly. That's how I got the Milan win. We were actually 1 foot out the door with wind lightning decks. I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's just.
And you just made fire ice on the fly.
And that's so funny because, Steven, I did the exact same thing in Ohio, and I was going to jam Mono Earth. I was like, man, all these Opus 5 Earth cards are just so good. And then, like, that night before, at like midnight, I was like, man, I think I'm just going to play this deck because being able to, like, haste out a Lock and haste out a Genesis just feel really good right now.
Exactly. It's just how it happens.
Yeah, that's so funny. I'm just laughing at him saying that because I watched you do this right before the Crystal Cup in Ohio.
Yeah, that's what Fire Ice does to a man. It's like, man, that just feels really good going into like a blind new meta.
Now, what are you currently working on now? I mean, what do you have for the folks out there? I saw that you had a mono fire list that looked pretty ridiculous.
Oh, it's pretty stable. It's cool. I like it. But what I'm working on is, well, there's the Grand Open in Italy coming up.
Oh, nice.
Next.
Mm-hmm.
Next week. So obviously there's the Earth Wind I'm working on, and the Fire Ice I'm working on.
Yeah, I like that newest list you just put out. Really cool.
Of the Fire Ice with the Dark.
I like it.
Smashes Earth.
Is Earth a big problem over there? Is it really?
Earth?
Is your meta flooded with Earth over there?
Water is the bigger problem right now.
Okay.
Because everyone's all excited about these Viking cards.
Good.
I
They're
just
so good.
I just don't want to play Magus in my deck. The 3 CP5 Magus. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to have to admit that they're that good. I have to play 3 CP Magus in my deck to beat them. So,
I didn't want to admit they were that good either, man. Layla Viking is just stupid. I would have never thought a unassuming 4 CP 3K would just be so meta warping.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Cyclops in my Mono Lightning Nether because of that. Like, I need to be able to wipe the board.
Exactly, That's what my Magus is in Mono Lightning out for Scholars as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a little extra something to help.
So you're taking Mono Lightning down there?
I probably will not play Mono Lightning down there, but I do like the deck, and it's a really good deck to practice against, because that deck really pressures the amount of proactive plays you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they're killing your forwards every other turn, at worst. So you have to have a lot of proactive plays in your deck to be able to sustain through it. So it's a good deck to play against.
Mm-hmm.
But I probably
I agree.
So
I agree. I look at Mono. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steven. Go ahead.
No, you're currently lined up with your Wind Earth deck, and are you currently stuck between your Wind Earth and something else, or is that pretty much kind of what you're leaning towards?
There's Wind Earth, and then there's Fire Ice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to get it good enough to take to it.
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to ask you, man, because I'm struggling to make that deck playable right now in this meta. It just seems like it just gets like it did before, just obliterated by Earth Wind.
Yeah, it is. It is in dire straits.
It's painful. It's painful to sit there and build this. Like I've got all my signed Sabins, my signed Celices, and I'm like, man, I really want to play these. And they're all foil, and but then it's like, sweet, I have no answer for Cactuar Dodaluma. Excellent.
Yeah, I think Vermilion Birdless Sea Tuner is a really big help against the deck. Because then you can play Brynhildas, and you can kill a lot of Dadalumas, but I don't know if you can kill enough Dadalumas.
With all the recursion that deck has, with Infilia and Minor, and just there's
exactly
3 Dadalumas turns into 9.
Yeah, exactly. You can handle the 3 they're supposed to play. You can't handle the 9 Dadalumas and the 3 of additional Zidans.
Oh no, that guy is such a hoser. Like, if you they drop that thing on turn 1, turn 2, early enough, they just start stripping your hand of any gas that you have. You're just you're in trouble. You are in trouble. The card's amazing.
I was playing against Water Winds today, and I thought I was a really smart guy because I played Vermilion Birdless Sea Tuner on the Zidan pulling Bahamut. Then you played Opus 611, made it not take damage from summons. I was like, oh, that is not as intended.
That's unfortunate.
That's definitely a biff on that one. Did you win the match, or did you wind up?
Oh no, I got slaughtered.
Oh. Ouch.
So I think we're pretty much wrapped up at this point. I mean, this is a kind of really quick interview. I mean, I pretty much had everything lined up on what I wanted to ask. One last thing that I want you to talk about, because this is a pretty big deal. I mean, it's really important that you're doing the Patreon and kind of getting people to know what it's about. And I believe that it's probably going to be a huge help for the community. So on that note, go ahead and let us know what your Patreon's all about and how do we get to it. And
because I subscribe already, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw. Thank you very much.
Oh no, man! Thank you for putting out the good articles.
So, I've been writing these pretty in-depth articles for a long time on FFTCG, and the majority. I started off doing them on Tumblr because it had a really nice blogging interface type thing. It was just really easy to put them out on there. But I mean, most of my target audience doesn't have a Tumblr account, so I ended up swapping over to Patreon, and it also gives people the opportunity to support me if they like it. To get to there, just search Yehosera. You should be able to find my Facebook page, and then it should all be pinned. You do get obviously all of the articles except for the special monthly ones that I do as a little thank you. They're all still completely free, other than that one. So even if you don't want to support me through Patreon monetarily, just following, seeing what's up, checking out the deck lists I post, because they do come with pretty in-depth guides on how to play them. Should help if
I was actually getting ready to say they've been. Like I said, the articles you wrote, especially about the Fire Ice decks, you're the reason I started playing Tella in the deck and things like that. Because not only did you break them down, the whole deck from card to card, you would say, after playing it, take this out, add this. The reason this is in here is because of this. And it just really, really in depth. And this, me on the outside looking in, if people want to learn like those strategies for these archetypes that you play, because you and I play very similar decks, by the way. And
Nice.
if they want to learn those strategies, maybe something they're missing, I highly recommend. I share your articles all the time with like our friends, and they're like, "Man, this is like 100 articles." I'm like, "Well, you should read all of them." 'Cause they're all
Thank you for sharing them.
No, man, no problem.
So guys, go ahead and definitely give. I'll actually wind up linking your Patreon on this particular episode. So go ahead and just look below. We'll put it there. And thank you so much for joining us today, Chris. You got any comments?
Man, no, I'm just cool to actually kind of just shoot the shit with you for a little bit, man. Because like I said, I look to your deck choices for a lot of the stuff that I play and a lot of the mentality I have when it comes to the decks that I play. So. Like it's cool. I keep doing what you're doing, man. Like it has a huge influence on my game and the way I play. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for having
also,
me
we
on.
should definitely go ahead and link up on Octagon sometime soon as well. Maybe I can get some testing in with you.
Unfortunately, I can't do Octagon very frequently, but I can play on Untap.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Get on that.
I can figure out some untap for you. No problem. I'll figure it out.
And when you get Fire Ice playable, like you put up the bat signal and let me know, because I will be the first one there to check it out.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Cool.
Thank you. You guys can join us next week for another episode of Rude's Corner. I'm your host, Rude. Here with you was Chris Adams and the good old JFB. Have a good one.